Welcome to my Sitecore Diaries. This is the video in the series supportivepages.net series. Uh, Today we are going to see ASP.NET MVC Life Cycle. Before starting, let me introduce myself. I am Jitendra Ganekar. I am a Sitecore 10.NET certified developer. I am a Sitecore architect and consultant in Mumbai. So let's start. What we are going to see in this video: ASP.NET MVC lifecycle, what is a request lifecycle, and how in detail we will see how the request handling is done and how the responses get created. So let's start. ASP.NET MVC lifecycle. A lifecycle is simply a series of steps or events used to handle some type of a request or to change an application state. So lifecycle is basically the series of steps or events happening. If you are aware about ASP.NET, you must be aware about ASP.NET lifecycle. So MVC has its own lifecycle. There is a two lifecycle MVC has. First is the application lifecycle and second is the request lifecycle. So application lifecycle, if you see, the application lifecycle refers to the time at which the application process actually begin running the IIS until the time it stops. So once the IIS start till the IIS stop, that complete life cycle is called as a application life cycle. Whereas the request lifecycle, it is the sequence of events that happens every time on HTTP request is handled by our application. So basically the HTTP request, which how it is handled is that process or that steps is called as a request lifecycle. So we'll see detail in the request lifecycle. Let's see request lifecycle. So once the request is come, it first handles the routing. Okay, what does routing do? It convert the route data into a concrete controller. Okay, so how it is done? First of all, this routing is routing will initialize, the controller will get initialized. Okay, once the controller is initialized, the action invoker come in the action and it finds and select the appropriate action method to invoke the controller. So it basically finds the actual action, it executes that action which will give you the result, and that result will get executed. Now that if you have the view type, see, if you have the view type, then the view engine will call. Okay, and it is responsible to finding the rendering our view. So if it has a view type, the view engine will call, and then view engine will responsible to create the output. Okay, so view engine will call, and then if it is not available, okay, so view type is not there, if the result is not a view type, the action result will execute on its own. So action result which will get executed and it will generate the actual response. So if there is a view type, it will go to the view engine and view engine will generate the response. If it is not there, then action itself will execute and it will provide the response. So that is how the response will get generated. It is a high level how the life cycle is happened. We will see how exactly the or in detail we will see how exactly the request is handled and what are the steps which will perform to create the response. So request and response object creation. So first step is if there is a first request, then it goes to the field route. Okay, the field route is the method which will go to the route table. Okay, and that route table will fetch the route. Okay, what is the route is there, that will get fetched, and then it will given to the URL routing model. Okay, and if it is the second request, okay, then it will directly automatically goes to the URL routing model. So basically routing will find out your route, what is the route, and that route is given to the URL model. This URL model will then create a request context is created. So once you got the route of the request, then it will create a context object. Okay, and then it will give to the MVC handler. Okay, then MVC handler will initiate the controller. Okay, so controller will get initiated. So first is the routing, route is fine for that request, then it is given to the URL routing model, and then the URL routing model will create a context, and that context will given to the MVC handler. MVC or handler will initiate the controller. Okay, that controller will, and the action will be find from the route table. Okay, so this complete process, how the request is handled. Now how the response will call. Okay, so now you know the controller instance is created, then the response will get created. The control instance is given to the, will execute the corresponding action. Okay, so the action invoker will come in action, and that will invoke the exact action which is depending on your route. It will execute that corresponding action. Okay, then the result is sent. Okay, now this result, it will can be two types. One is, if you have a view type, then it will go to the view engine, otherwise the action itself will execute the response. Now if there is a view result, okay, if the view result is a JSON type, the JSON will be, response will be created. If it is a file type, it will, the file response will created. If there's any other thing, it will, any other type of a response will created. And this is how the overall the response is getting created. So this is the overall life cycle, or the detailed life cycle of a MVC. Okay, we will summarize it in the next slide. So the first thing, the first part is the request handling, and second part is the response creation. So we will see, we will summarize this all the actions. Okay, the first step is the field route. So MVC requests are mapped to the route table, which in turn specifies which controller and action to be invoked. So basically it gives you the address, or it give you the path, which is the controller and which is the action for that request. So if the request is the first request, the first thing is to fill route table and route collection. This filling of the route table happens in the global.axx file. The second thing is the fetch route. So depending on the URL, sent URL routing model searches the route table to create a route data object which has the details of which controller and action to invoke. So first is the route table is filled in the route is a fill into the route table, and then the URL model will purchase that route data. It will create that route in the table and create the route data. Okay, that is the object which tells you which is the controller for that request and what is the action for that table, request. Then request context is created. So the route data object is used to create the request context object. So the context of that request is created, which will have the route data also. Then the controller instance created. So this request object is sent to the MVC handler. Okay, the MVC handler instance to create the controller class instance. So the request object which is created will be used by the MVC handler to initialize the controller. Okay, once the controller is initialized, it will action invoker will come in action, and then it will find the corresponding action and it will get executed. And executed result action, depending on the view type and result type, the response is created. So high level, this is how the request and response object creation is done. This is how the life cycle of a MVC works. Thank you. It is small. It is a small video, but very important video for who is working on the MVC. Okay. If you have any question, you can connect to me on my Gmail ID or in LinkedIn ID. If you like the video, please click on the like button. Please share the video with your friends and colleagues. Please do provide your feedback over a comment. Do subscribe to our channel. Click on a bell icon to get a latest update. Again, thank you. Thanks for watching.